May I remind you that I am in command here. Only an idiot would attempt such a thing. I will do it myself. Welcome to the Disney Scrapbook, where together we take a journey to explore Disney history from 50 years ago. My name is Nolan. Today, I thought we would take a first look at Disney's 94-minute live-action adventure film, The Island at the Top of the World, which premiered in England on December 16th, 1974, and was released on December 20th, 1974 in the US. This film was adapted from Ian Cameron's 1961 epic adventure story, The Lost Ones, a tale of fantastic adventure in the classic Jules Verne tradition, a saga of excitement, danger, and suspense that pits three polar explorers, a rich English sea captain, a professor of archaeology, and a lusty sailor, against danger and icy death at the top of the world, braving avalanches, starvation, perilous ice floes, and treacherous polar bear attacks. Each man is driven onward through the bleak, unexplored Arctic wilderness by an invisible force. Ian Cameron was one of three pseudonyms used by the prolific British author Donald Payne. The Lost Ones was the third of four of his literary works that were made into movies. Disney bought the rights to The Lost Ones in 1968, and according to Daily Variety News, Ed Harper was hired to adapt the book into a screenplay in December of that year. However, at some point, Harper was replaced by John Whedon and Harry Spalding, who wrote the screenplay for Disney's 1973 feature film, One Little Indian, although Spalding never received screen credit for his work. The 1968 pre-production trailer for the film The Island at the Top of the World, narrated by producer Winston Hibler, shows storyboard artwork that depicts some alternate script intentions than those of the final film. In this teaser trailer, the film was set in 1870. The airship was a tandem dirigible. Captain John Ross was a wealthy inventor. Also, something that was not portrayed in the final cut of the film was a volcanic eruption that tosses the explorer's boat out to sea as they are escaping from the Bay of Whales. Maybe these concepts were in Ed Harper's screenplay, and differing creative opinions led to him being replaced by Whedon and Spalding. Having mostly written for radio and television, John Whedon wrote the script for The Island at the Top of the World. This was his second and final screenplay, having previously written the screenplay for Disney's The Bears and I, which I have previously reviewed and will leave a link to in the description below. In the film Island at the Top of the World, a wealthy Englishman, joined by an American archaeologist, commissioned an eccentric French inventor and his airship to search the Arctic for his missing son, who has mysteriously disappeared. While searching the Arctic for an undiscovered island, after many adventures and with the help of an Eskimo guide, they discover a verdant valley and a world forgotten by time. The script for The Island at the Top of the World adheres pretty closely to the original story in the book, but also draws inspiration from the many factual tales of men attempting to conquer the Arctic. One key difference is that the book is set in Canada in the modern times of the 1960s, whereas Whedon periodizes his script to 1907 and relocates its opening to London. This period change creates a greater excitement, mystery, and intrigue of the unknown. Cameron's main characters are a Canadian whaler, a British Navy captain, and a botany professor, whereas Whedon's main characters are an American archaeologist, a wealthy Englishman, and a French aviation inventor. These changes in period necessitated Disney replacing the helicopter in the original book to a giant airship as the preferred mode of transportation. It should also be noted that the airship made a much larger spectacle on screen than a helicopter would ever have done. Tall, craggy with an athletic build and easy smile, American archaeologist Professor John Iverson, lecturing in Norway, is played by positive thinker David Downs Hartman. Hartman, the American journalist and media host, who began his career as an actor and host documentary programs on the History and PBS channels, yet his career began on the stage before working in film and television. Hartman won attention after appearing in the Utica beer commercial and as a dedicated doctor on the Bold Ones to New Doctors, in which his performance earned him a Golden Globe nomination. By 1973, he would star in a TV remake of the holiday classic Miracle on 34th Street with Jane Alexander and Sebastian Cabot. He would star in Island at the Top of the World the following year. Then, on November 3rd, 1975, Hartman would go on to become the original male co-host of ABC's renamed news show, Good Morning America, from 1975 to 1987. During his 11 years as a co-host, Good Morning America would often be the highest rated morning news program on network television. Although Hartman did not have a journalism background, he professionally conducted more than 12,000 interviews during his time on the show. Here, as Professor Iverson, he gives a convincing performance as an archaeological professor, in awe of his discoveries and surroundings. His calm, placid, level-headed approach and demeanor contrast well with Ross's explosive tension, creating dynamic on-screen chemistry between the two characters. Acclaimed British actor Sir Donald Alfred Sinden played the assertive and demanding protagonist of the film's dynamic explorer, Sir Anthony Ross, whose name was probably derived from the great Scottish family of Arctic explorers. Anthony Ross is a wealthy businessman who lives in London, desperate to find his son, explorer Donald Ross, who has gone missing in the Arctic. Taking charge of the situation, he organizes an expedition to locate his son. Sinden was destined to have a career in architecture until he was spotted in an amateur theatrical production and asked to join a company that entertained the troops during World War II. He established himself in theater and became a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Theater being his first love, he was a noted farceur. 1953 saw him appear in his film debut, The Cruel Sea. He became a leading man in both British film and television. The Island at the Top of the World was the only film that he made in Hollywood. His unmistakable voice is perfect for the role and defines his character. Short, stocky, prolific bit-part French actor of film and television, Jacques Marin, a vocal master of eloquent gesture, is as French as a croissant.
Oh la la!
Fluent in both English and French, he is sly too, for his range is limitless, and he can adapt to any role. His trademark was a toothbrush mustache with a deadpan expression, except for a perpetual reproving frown, which suggested deeper thought processes were going on. Here, in The Island at the Top of the World, he plays Captain Brew, an aeronaut inventor of 1907, natty in moustache and gold-braided hat. He expertly flies himself and the three explorers into adventure beyond imagination. His character provides raw one-liners that relieve tension with comedic interlude. Unfortunately, I feel that these could have created more laughter if their setups had been better. Captain Booth's character provides an excellent contrast, both in physicality and sound, to David Hartman's height, and Donald Sinden's bullish, British aristocratic voice. Interestingly, although a prolific character actor, Marin's two major roles were both for Disney. This one in The Island at the Top of the World, and then in 1977 as Inspector Boucher in Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. Years later, he would provide the voice for the French TV reporter in Pixar's Monsters, Inc. Umiak, the Fearless One, the Inuit Arctic guide for the expedition, was played by the Japanese-American actor Mako, who began life believing he was going to be an architect, which led him into set design. After serving in the Korean War, he used the GI Bill to sign up to learn acting at the Pasadena Playhouse. His career would end up spanning 5 decades, but he would only appear in one other Disney film. Umiak is a fun oxymoron of a character who, despite his name, is terrified for most of the film. Once again, a character that contrasts well with the calm demeanor of Professor Iverson, and one that adds physical comedy to the story. With his demonstrative actions, Umiak relates best to Captain Booth's French poodle, Josephine. David Gwilym plays Donald Ross, an Arctic adventurer whose disappearance launches a fantastic manhunt. Gwilym, a young theatrical performer who would later go on to become a popular British TV actor, known for his Shakespearean roles, was the son of actor Jacques Marin, who had worked for Disney in Search of the Castaways. This was David's first film role, which I believe was apparently obvious in the way he played his part, especially in the way he incorporated the set into his acting. Freya, a descendant of lost Vikings, the young love interest in the film, is played by Swedish model, actress, and clothing designer Agneta Eckelmeyer, having begun her career in modeling and appearing in television commercials. She would appear in her first film in 1971, yet another actress hired by Disney at this time for her looks, like Kathleen Cody. However, Eckelmeyer was able to pull off a more convincing performance than some other female Disney hires of this period. Here we take a break. Please join me in Part 2, where we'll explore the Oscar-nominated special effects and artwork. In Part 3, we will research the film's score, critical reception, and merchandise. Thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. If you would like to watch The Island at the Top of the World before we meet again in Part 2, it is available on iTunes, YouTube, Amazon Prime, Google Play, Disney Plus, and of course, DVD. If you enjoy this type of 50th anniversary content, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. The Disney Scrapbook will be producing other 50th anniversary content throughout the year that will include reviews of Disney films, LPs, books, and rebook content. Thanks everybody for watching. See you in Part 2. TTFN. Ta-da for now.